Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors, the elders and apostles, a great millstone who are teaching this truth and sincerity. And a shout out to Yakim that's out there on the four corners of the earth proclaiming this truth. Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash, Bracha Dun. So, yes, the Day of Atonement did happen this week for anyone who had missed it or just couldn't do it on that day. Find yourself a time to do it that works, you know, and be sincere about it. But nonetheless, though, Apostle Tahar put this up as well as others. But we're, you know, of things to come, you know, after the Day of Atonement, you know. It's our time to make an amendment so the Most High will hear us, as Apostle Tahar explains. So I hope this is all edifying, and then going to look at what's currently going on. Going to get into Daniel 9:27 and 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and deal with the whole concept, you know, just we always like to do this anyways, but to pretty much dissolve so-called plantation Christianity. Well, it's not so-called, that's what it is. And the whole idea of a pre-trib rapture and all that garbage, you know. We, you know, would like to make it clear, you know, because, yeah, there's newcomers coming in, you know, at the last minute who may not be up to date, you know. That's why we still go out there and teach, to edify each other, but also, you know, to anyone that comes in new, that hadn't heard this truth yet. Yeah, there's still those out there that they hadn't heard it yet. But we're close to that time that door is going to close, so we want to make it available. You know, so anyhow, that's what's going on, as Apostle Tahar explains what the Day of Atonement is. So I hope this is edifying, and again, if you weren't able to do it on that day, find a time to do it. That way the Most High can hear from you. Now, the ultimate atonement is Yahweh Shai, but we're still to keep it.
We are currently in the Day of Atonement, giving all praise to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakadash. Right now it's on the East Coast, Northeast. It's 8:11 p.m. The sun set went down at about 5 minutes after 7 p.m. That's when the Day of Atonement comes in. It says the ninth day at evening, which is the beginning, as the sun is going down, going into the 10th day. So technically, when the sun started going down, we went from the 9th day of the moon cycle, because we don't follow months, we follow moon, from new moon to new moon. Something that the so-called Jew doesn't follow. They don't close their shops on new moons. They may close up shop on Rosh Hashanah, which means the head. Ra'ash means the head. So the head of the year. And they'll say, oh, that's a new year. Well, the new year comes in the springtime. The first month of the year, 14 days in, is the Passover. 15 days, 14 days before that is the new moon, which is known as Abib. So the so-called Jews, they follow that. They follow the Sabbath, which they follow it based upon Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, which is clearly not biblical. When you read the high holy days, when you go to, it's throughout the whole book in the Apocrypha, but when you read the lineup of the high holy days that the Lord gave to Moses to give to the sons of Israel, all of the, what is that, Leviticus 23, all of that high holy days in that chapter, they're all based upon the new moon. And the new moon is when you see that little crescent. It's almost like the moon is not there. You see a little, a sliver of light. And that's the new moon. And what proves that, you can bring out all the scriptures on the new moon, what proves that is Ecclesiasticus. I haven't been through that in a while. You can put that in the comment section. It's somewhere in the 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 chapter. And it explains the new moon. I'm not going to go into it because I don't have any lights on them. You know, I'm in a dark room. Anyway, and it's in this video you just see blackness. Not for any particular reason, but I have the lights off and I have the lens to the camera closed. Anyway, the Day of Atonement. The Day of Atonement comes in at the 7th month, the 9th day of the 7th month at evening, which is going into the 10th day of the 7th month on moon. And that's in also in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. And it says to afflict your souls. And to afflict your soul doesn't mean stick needles in between your finger and your fingernails. See how much you can take it. It don't mean to torture yourself. It means to afflict your soul, meaning to go without food. It tells you that in, I believe it's Daniel, the 10th chapter. Because Daniel fasted for 3 weeks, 21 days. And it said in the scripture, like I said, I'm not going to go to it. Somebody can put it in the description box. This is how you learn. It said that how he afflicted his soul. So that would be a fast. Not hanging upside down by your toes. You got jakes that have come into this thing and said that, and you don't see them no more. But if you didn't start fasting, if you're on the East Coast at least, if you didn't start fasting at like 4, 5, 6 minutes after 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, then, and you ate during that time period, which is about an hour and 10 minutes ago, you didn't keep the fast. Because this happens every year, and it happened today on the comment report. Somebody put a comment on one of my videos asking me when does the Day of Atonement come in, and he asked a couple more questions. Well, I basically told him, I said, you don't got to worry about keeping the Day of Atonement right now, because you're not grounded in this thing. And this is why the Apostle Paul said what he said in Colossians 2, and I'm going to start at the 16th verse, and I'm going to read about to the 19th verse. And when you read down to the 20th verse, let me go to Colossians 2 verse 20, because you get individuals that have used this chapter in particular, the 20th verse, to say you don't got to keep the law. Matter of fact, when they go up, okay, I'm going to start at 13 verse. Colossians 2 verse 13. And now, when I commented back to the individual that sent me asked me the question about when did the Day of Atonement come in and when is this happening, and I clicked on his page. He had a Hebrew name, and I clicked on his page, and on his page, I believe his page was put up with the Hebrew name. I don't have the page in front of me. I'm not going to look for it. And I clicked on join. There was no, as I remember, there was no videos. There was no videos really dealing with Israel, or there could have been, but nothing that he put up. So I clicked on when did he join or about, and it said he joined sometime in late 2019. So we're talking almost 3 years, 2021. Another couple of months, it'll be 3 years that he decided to do a page on YouTube expressing the belief of a Hebrew Israelite, but I didn't see any videos that he put up. So I said, to myself, why is he asking me a question about the Day of Atonement when he's been in this truth for going on 3 years? And lately, we've been doing videos. Even last Saturday, we're getting on guys turning back on the plow. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is not something that you have a membership in some club that you pay some dues and you can come around when you want to come around. You know, this is not a community bowling league where you come around and go bowling. And if you don't want to go bowling that Thursday night, you don't have to. Because that's how you jakes out there look at this thing. And I always quote what Peter said: desiring the sincere milk, which you are able to grow thereby. I'm merely paraphrasing. If you're not growing in this thing, then you're not in the truth. How about that? If you're not growing in this thing, let's say you've been in this thing 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and your level of intelligence, your biblical IQ, is that of somebody that's been in this thing for maybe 3 months. And if you're in this thing 3 months, when I came in 3 months in, I knew a whole lot. And 6 months in, I knew a lot more. And a year in, I knew even more. Not to put this man on the spot or this individual on the spot, but if you've been in this thing for 3 years, or going on 3 years, and you ask him when does the Day of Atonement come in, then you haven't grown. This is not no part-time thing. Either you're in it or you're not in it. Either it's all or nothing. Either it's 100%, 99, and 99.9% just won't do. All right? Anyway, let me read this precept. I don't want to make this long. I'll start at 13 verse, Colossians 2 verse 13. And you know what? You got a lot of guys that are Israelites out there that are former Long Westers, 1992ers. You know, guys, faces that we knew from the past. And a lot of them, I'm not going to name no names because there's so many of them. A lot of them just do videos, they just talking shit. They just talking shit. They're talking about situations. They're not reading anything. So if you want to learn I said in the earlier video, I said, if you want to learn if whether Cornelius, some camps say Cornelius is the Edomite, others say Cornelius is the Israelite. But I know that one West used to teach Cornelius was the Edomite, but now you got GMS and even IUIC teaching that Cornelius is the Israelite. Well, that's what you're supposed to be teaching, man. You're supposed to be teaching subjects on Cornelius as an Israelite and prove it. The mark of the beast, what is it? And prove it. The various breakdowns. How many of you guys on YouTube, you old school heads, how many of you guys, if we go to your pages, and after this I'm going to go to your different pages. I ain't naming no names because there's so many of them that are doing it. They'll have a cookout, they'll film it. They'll have a rap concert, they'll film it. You know? But are you teaching this truth? Anyway, let me get back to this. Colossians 2 verse 13. And you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, meaning these were Gentiles coming in. Who was the Apostle Paul speaking to? The people of Colossus, which is in Asia Minor, in or the whereabouts of Greece. They wasn't too far from Corinth and Macedon and them places, because you had Jake all up in Asia Minor, all up in Greece. 13th verse. And you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh, talking to the Israelite foreigners, the Gentiles, that are coming into the fold. So they're new to this information that the Israelites. Some of them didn't have beards, some of them had tattoos, all of them were uncircumcised. Some of them, a lot of them were eating pork, committing adultery because they didn't know. It says, have he quickened together with him, having forgiven you all trespasses. So you come into this thing, thinking that you was a Gentile, and you come into the fold. So the Apostle Paul saying, don't worry about the sins that you didn't commit, that you didn't follow. It says, blotting out the handwriting of ordinance that was against us, which was contrary to us, and took it out of the way, nailing it to the cross. Does that mean he took away the law so you can do whatever you want to do? No. That means the past sins, he forgave you for that. And having spoiled principalities and powers, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. 16 verses, one of the main verses. Let 16 verse, Colossians 2 verse 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a high holy day or in holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath day, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of the Messiah, right? It said, let no man beguile you of reward in voluntary humility and worshiping of angels. That's what High Priest Ariah used to do. He used to have us pray to the angels, which he was going off. Intruding into those things which he have not seen, vainly puffed up in his fleshly mind. So, High Priest Ariah, let me see if I can find this. High Priest Ariah, he pushing that based upon his fleshly mind. That's why he's in the state that he's in today. Now with the Most High mercy on him, It says the 19 verse number closed because the camera's getting ready to turn off. Can't find the plug. And not holding the head from which all the body by joints and bands having nourishment. So we're nourishing you. We're feeding you pursuant to Jeremiah 3 verse 15. Ministered and knit together, increase. Okay, with that I'm going to have to close this because this camera's getting ready to die out because I didn't plug it in. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. With that, I'm going to say shalom.
Let me be clear.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this. Look at this. Somebody come and look at this.
If you're in a state where hurricanes often strike, like Florida or the Gulf Coast or into Texas, a vital part of preparing for hurricane season is to get vaccinated now.
Fuck you.
I'm so damn confused.
Everything is more complicated if you're not vaccinated in a hurricane or a natural disaster hits.
Well, of course.
That makes perfect sense. A nice man.
Oh, it's totally worth the drive.
Well, a new health order will be issued later this week from the LA County Health Department to control the spread of COVID-19. It will require all attendees, employees, and participants of outdoor mega events of 10,000 or more people to show proof of vaccination or a negative test within 72 hours. The order will also require proof of vaccination for all customers and employees in indoor portions of bars, wineries, breweries, nightclubs, and lounges. The order will strongly recommend but not require vaccine verification for indoor portions of restaurants.
Are we terminated? Is that what you said?
No.
Eddie, you said we're terminated?
Pardon?
Did you say that we were terminated?
Your access has been denied.
Are we terminated?
Yes, ma'am, you are.
So you're firing us?
9-1. You are off payroll effective 9.
Are you firing us?
I will not answer your specific questions. I have told you what I'm going to do.
But I have not quit. So am I being fired?
You are being terminated.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? Hey, Allie.
Hey.
So, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to get logged on to a computer, or?
I was gonna pick up some shifts and stuff. I just stopped to talk to her.
So you do not work here anymore. Sarah Beth had this conversation with you in detail. You talked to HR yesterday.
I did not quit and I was not fired. There's no other option. There are only two options. I have not quit and I have not received a termination letter.
You're gonna have to leave. We need your badge and we need you to leave.
No. Under what? On what grounds?
We do not want this to get ugly.
On what grounds do you have?
We're gonna ask that you do the right thing and you leave right now.
No, you guys chose not to do the right thing by not giving us a choice.
Are you working? You're here.
I'm here. I was not able to clock in this morning.
She didn't get the vaccine either.
And you didn't do the vaccine either?
No, sir.
Okay.
And I was not terminated. I did not quit.
You guys keep saying we chose, but you gave us no choice. There was no choice. You guys took it away. We did not quit. Okay, so
there was a choice.
Okay, so then fire us.
You didn't.
So then fire us.
So I'm the director of security, and under my authority, I need both your ID badges.
I need my termination letter.
I need your ID badges right now. This doesn't have to go this way. You can cooperate or you cannot.
You don't have any grounds to say
I do
that.
have grounds.
No, you don't.
You're videoing right now.
Yeah, I am. I am. Because you guys have no grounds to do this. You're saying do the right thing, so you know I'm in the right. You have no legal.
Professional manner.
I'm not though. I will not leave in the
See people fighting for their rights. It doesn't work, does it?
Can work through a whole pandemic with no vaccine. Brave. God will forgive me. Because I'm being forced to do this.
Why are we not talking about natural immunities?
It should not be forced upon us to either vaccinate
And it causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond.
Afghan resistance in desperate need of world support. While the international community abandons Afghanistan, veteran warriors in the struggles against the Soviet Union and the Taliban are gathering in their old base camps deep in north-central Afghanistan's Panjshir Valley. Although some of the towns of Panjshir have fallen to the Taliban, a national resistance front, similar to the one that fought the Soviets and helped the United States overthrow the Taliban in 2001, has begun to mount a resistance campaign. Their cause is both just and necessary, as a dizzying array of terrorist organizations are also gathering in other parts of the country. This is a clear and present danger for the entire world, because Afghanistan's mountains and valleys have previously spawned and incubated jihadi movements that spread from Algeria to Libya, through Syria and Saudi Arabia. Re-establishment of Taliban rule is already inspiring many such groups. Al-Qaeda's partners in the Syrian city of Idlib are rejoicing openly, and Hamas is celebrating. The Taliban's return to power has provided violent Islamist groups not only a potent moral victory, but also, and more worryingly, a potential safe haven. Already, one of Al-Qaeda founder Osama bin Laden's closest aides has returned triumphantly to Afghanistan to prevent the re-emergence of the world's most lethal terrorist organization and its offshoots. The entire international community, particularly China and India, need to work with local partners. Only by doing so will the Taliban feel sufficient pressure to sever ties with their pariah associates. Although the Taliban ruled most of Afghanistan from 1996 to 2001, they never completely eliminated resistance to their rule. In the rugged and narrow Panjshir Valley, the Northern Alliance, led by Ahmad Shah Massoud, held sway. Massoud warned as early as the mid-1980s that the foreign fighters who were migrating to Afghanistan had a more sinister agenda than driving out the Soviets. 2 days before the attacks of September 11, 2001, Massoud was assassinated in a suicide bombing carried out by Al-Qaeda operatives contracted by the Taliban.
We know that 9/11 was an inside job.
Today, malignant forces are targeting Massoud's ancestral home in the Panjshir Valley, where his son, Ahmad, is organizing the resistance to Taliban rule.
Because that's Israeli propaganda, and this is what's going on in Australia.
Please remember, you are in breach of the public health order if you are not wearing your mask. Please put your mask on, otherwise fines will apply. Also remember, social distancing is vital. We're not out of this mess yet.
So yeah, gotcha. Might like to go to the show, feel a warm thrill of confusion, man. Space Cadet Glow. What do you think that song is talking about? The New World Order. To understand what's currently going on, you know, and what this Great Tribulation is talking about, and to undo what plantation Christianity has done, we got to go to the scriptures that they've been distorting and prove to you that this event, as spoken of in Daniel 9:27, had already happened, as more of a reason why they took the Apocrypha out. And he shall confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. You know, and that is talking about King Antiochus. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And how did that happen? Well, First Maccabees is actually going to go into that. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate even until the consummation, and the determined shall be poured upon the desolate. Alright, so pretty much Antiochus Epiphanes had actually made an unrighteous decree that they would have to eat pork. Yeah, now you get why Israelites can't give up pork. You know, because it happened when he went into the temple and he caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease. See, you know, hopefully I can get it down to where you can read it. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been a hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. See? In those days went out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, kind of like what's going on right now. Okay, we're in kind of a revise of that. You know, persuaded many to do what? I think you understand what's going on right now. Saying, let us make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. So this is where he was to confirm the covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week shall cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. And make a covenant with the heathen that are round about. For since we departed from them, we had so much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. Doesn't that seem to, again, and to cause the sacrifice and the oblation to cease. So they ceased from being an Israelite. And for the overspreading of abominations, he shall make it desolate. Well, that's what happened here. Now when the kingdom was established before Antiochus, he thought to reign over Egypt, that he might have the dominion for 2 realms. Wherefore he entered into Egypt with a great multitude, with chariots and elephants and horsemen, and a great navy, and made war against Ptolemy king of Egypt, but Ptolemy was afraid of him. Thus they got strong cities in the land of Egypt, and he took spoils thereof. And here we go. Right here. I'll read verse 20 as well. And after that Antiochus had smitten Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year, and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. And he entered proudly into the sanctuary, and took away the golden altar, causing the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and the candlestick of light, and all the vessels thereof, and the table of the shewbread, and the pouring vessels, and the vials, and the centers of gold, and the veil, and the crown, and the golden ornaments that were before the temple, all which he pulled off. He took away the silver and the gold, and the precious vessels. And you know who's got all the silver and gold right now? The Rothschilds. But Antiochus Epiphanes, in fact, is part of the Rothschild family. Just they keep changing their surname, but it's the same people. Amalek. Also, he took the hidden treasures which he found. And when he had taken all away, he went into his own land, having made a great massacre, and spoken very proudly. Therefore there was a great mourning in Israel in every place where they were. Just trying to get to the main part of it. But then he destroyed the temple, as you can see here in verse 31. And when he had taken the spoils of the city, he set it on fire, and pulled down the houses and walls thereof on every side. And you got this here in verse 43. Yea, may also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters to messengers, by messengers into Jerusalem and the cities of Jehoiada, and they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. And this is where pork eventually came in. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves, and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh. Right there, there's your pork. And unclean beasts. So, what's in the Catholic Church now? Think about it. They should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make your souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, proving you that to be profane is to boldly commit sin. The Most High, to commit abominations, is to be profane, not to bust a cuss word here or there. You know, that's another thing in itself there, you know, as far as the lies that they've told. Nonetheless, though, they stretch Christianity likes to talk about a 7-year covenant. You know, that's where this comes in, and you know, that in the middle of that, you know, well, there's going to be a rapture, and that then you're going to have 7 years of great tribulation. As Apostle Tahar gets into here in this video here, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to that.
The Great Tribulation Rapture. What does it mean? Giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua Hashem Kakodash.
And I pray that all this is edifying, you know, as to where to re-edify each other, and hopefully this all makes a lot more sense, you know, when you read that, and just undoes all the lies that we've been told. Now, you know, like everything else, though, we still, you know, because a lot of our channels got taken down, someone new coming in may not have heard all this. Nonetheless, though, that's why we need to re-edify each other. For that, I want to say Bracha the Yahweh, Bracha the Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, Wa Abominable. Bracha Tum Tehofolek, Shalom. Apostle Tahar will go into what the Great Tribulation really was. As I read some of it, his video teaches the rest.
And this is a question put up by ETT End Time, which means End Time Teachers, to a video that Apostle Gabar put up, entitled The Great Gathering of the Elect. We stand by faith. And this was put up today, which is September 14th, 2021, the year of the hastening of the coming of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So I'll read the comment put up by ETT. Shalom, Elder Apostle, can you do a video disproving the pre-tribulation rapture? Well, that's easy, because we know that there's no pre-tribulation rapture, that Christianity nonsense. And one of the scriptures that they use is Daniel chapter 9, verse 27. I believe you can start from the 24th verse. And it speaks about 7 years, and in the middle of that year, 3.5 weeks. They say it's talking about you know, that's when the rapture comes before the tribulation, and the tribulation will be the ones that are left behind. Which, if they understood the scriptures and they understood prophecy, they would know that Daniel the 9th chapter took place already. The prophecy in Daniel the 9th chapter is in the past. It's something that happened, well, we can say thousands of years ago. It happened going back a couple thousand years ago. That was during the time period of Yahweh Shai being on the scene, him dying on the cross, and being risen back up and going into glory, into heaven, sitting on the right hand side of the Father. And it's also talking about the time period of 70 AD. That was a time of tribulation. But there's no pre-tribulation raptures where the believers, the Christians, will just be beamed up and people will look up, what the hell's going on? People just flew up into the sky. Then for 7 years, you know, 3.5 years, and then another 3.5 years, all hell breaks loose. The Christians don't understand the Bible. The Christians do not understand the Bible. They don't know the scriptures. Ye err not knowing the scriptures. And especially when it comes to prophecies. So anyway, what I did was I put in the word tribulation in the blue letter, and it occurs 22 times in 22 verses in the KJV. It appears 1, 2, 3. It appears 3 times in the Old Testament, in the book of Deuteronomy 4, verse 30, Judges 10, verse 14, 1 Samuel 26, verse 24, and then it jumps to Matthew 13, verse 21, and the last time it's mentioned in the scriptures is Revelation 7 and 14. So we're going to go through a couple of these scriptures. We're going to go through the New Testament scriptures. And I didn't, put any precepts together. I'm just going in the spirit, and we'll see how long this goes. Plus, I wanted to put up a lesson. Anyway, it says, the scriptures, the answer to everything is in the scriptures. Who is the Antichrist? What is the Antichrist? The mark of the beast. It's all mentioned in the scriptures, and you have to understand precepts to understand other precepts, and the Spirit has to be working with you. That's what the Comforter is all about. The Comforter wasn't no big fat black man who's now dead. That's not the Comforter. The Comforter is not a man. The Comforter is the Spirit that comes with the Bible. We used to say that the Comforter is the Bible, but it's deeper than the Bible, because a person, let's say the mind of God, he has a Bible, he reads the Bible, but the Spirit ain't working with him at all. That's why I told him to fly a kite. He asked me a question on one video, and I read his question. I forget what it was. It wasn't important, because he's not important. He's just a heathen. And I told him, go fly a kite. Anyway, let's just go through these precepts. Matthew 13, verse 21. Yet have he not root. Yet have he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. Now, what is this talking about? You got to go up really to the first verse of Matthew 13. You have people that come in different stages, or you have different category of believers. You have people that come in and they fall out. The people that come in and fall out quickly. There's other people that stay for a while. They might do a hard 10 years, 20 years, and fall out. So this is what the 21st verse is talking about. It says, Matthew 13, verse 21, yet hath he not root in himself. Because you got a lot of people that come into this truth, into this circle, but they're not rooted. They're not diligent. Give diligence to make that calling and election sure. And that ye also show the same diligence. So you got individuals that come into this thing on fire. You got individuals that come into this thing sort of half-ass, and then you just got guys that are just weak. They just can't get it. They can't grow. And we see that. We've been seeing that. I've been seeing that. I myself been seeing that for the 30 plus years that I've been in the truth. Guys that are in this thing, they might do a solid 10 years, and you talk to them, and if you didn't know he was in this truth for 10 years, you think he just came in the truth 2 months ago. You're supposed to grow in this thing. Desiring the sincere milk, in which you are to grow thereby. I'm merely paraphrasing what Peter said. And the ones of you that can't grow, that don't grow in this thing, eventually you're going to walk off, you're going to leave, You're going to get kicked out, then you're going to get offended, or you're going to get offended, and then you're going to leave. Or some women will come here into your life with some job that you like. You know, you're afraid for the boss to see you, and you don't go out. And the scriptures speak about, and with one consent, they begin to make excuses. See, now we're at a time where you can't make no more excuses, because now what they're presenting to you is this thing. So how far are you willing to go in order for you not to take that thing? Because I had several people in person come up to me and on the counter board saying, well, I got a good job. It's hard to get another job that's going to pay me and have the benefits that this job has, but I have to take the thing. Well, guess what? You take the thing, you're going to take the other thing, and you're going to get smoked. Real talk. I always quote or go to Revelation 3 verse 10. Read that. Read that every day. You know, when your boss gives you an ultimatum, you got until the end of the month to decide what you're going to do. Read that scripture. Revelation 3 verse 10. So now let's read this again. Matthew 13 verse 21. Yet has he not root in himself. The ones that's going to fall out and take the jab and then take the karagma are the ones that are not rooted. The ones that don't have a mindset of he that endureth to the end, the same shall be saved. Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Ephesians 6. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution arises because of the word, by and by he is offended. Now I remember we got arrested. We got arrested on different occasions. And the one time I got arrested with a bunch of other brothers, and maybe a couple of years or a year before that, another part of camp got arrested. So we were getting arrested, you know, more than once. So when myself got arrested with the rest of the men, there was one guy, I'm not going to mention his name, you don't know him anyway. I don't know if he was down there or he didn't make it because he had to work. And we were in there for almost a week. We had to get bailed out. And we had to go back and forth to court. But the Most High was with us. And when we went before the judge, you know, for, you know, arraignment and what the plea that we're going to make, you know, being indicted, we had top lawyers because we had felonies. And we had these top New York TV lawyers, you know? And there was one Jake, the rest of them were Edomite men, and there was one Edomite woman. And the Edomite woman, she was on fire. Anyway, they mentioned, you know, we all know who these people are. These are the Hebrew Israelites, you know? That's what they mentioned. So the judge knew it, the whole court knew it, that the Israelites are on trial. You know, so the whole court knew it, the judge knew it. So the judge knew who he was dealing with. We wasn't just no Negroes on the street. Anyway, you know, the Most High delivered us from that, but there was a brother, well, it shook up everybody. I tell you this story, it shook up everybody except myself, because I said, as soon as I get out, I go out on the highways and the byways, I'm going to curse these devils out. You know how you meditate in your mind? And pretty much everybody else said, no, we ain't going out no more. And I had to curse them all out. You know, I had to go into the scriptures and curse them the hell out. And then get their spirit back. And this was a number of years before YouTube came on the scene. So that was a time of trial and tribulation. But the one guy, he looked at me, he was in my house, and he said, you know, where in the scriptures did the apostles or the prophets ever get arrested? And I'm like, what? I looked at him like, what? And he'd been in this thing for a while. There's all kinds of scriptures about Paul being locked up, about Peter being locked up, about the prophets. You know, Jeremiah was almost put to death by the Israelites. The Lord said, Jerusalem, those that killeth the prophets. And the Lord got locked up. So I kind of looked at him. I said, wait a minute. What? I said, you forgot all those scriptures went out the window with you? And I pulled out a couple of scriptures. I might have quoted a couple of scriptures. Then he saw it. And I looked in his eye. He had that look in his eye. I said, man, this guy's not going to last long. I guess he lasted another year or two. His father was in it. His father was a flake. You know, he got kicked out. And he eventually went into the spirit world. And his son, you know, he just went about his business. Now, brothers have ran into him and, you know, saluted him and all that, you know, because we know him. But he never came back into the fold. He was never part of the fold again. Because he really wasn't grounded, even though he was in this thing for a number of years. So that was a time of tribulation. It says, so let's go back to Matthew 13 verse 21. Yet has he not root in himself, but dureth, you know, dureth meaning to be strong, to hold your ground, so to speak, which goes back to the word root, grounded, for a while, whether it be a year, 5 years, 10 years. For when tribulation, and that was tribulation in general, tribulation. Let me look up the word tribulation. Tribulation.
Strong's G 2347. Thalipsis.
Thalipsis. Which means a pressing together. Pressure, metaphorically, oppression, affliction, tribulation, distress, straits. For straight is the gateway, and now is the way to salvation. Let's look up that word straight. As I have said recently, you ones that come to be entertained, this is not for you. Okay, the word straits come up 2 times in the Old Testament. Job 20 verse 22. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Straits meaning hard time to be pressed upon. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. And that word wicked is the word, I can look it up, but I'm not. I'm going to look it up. It means laborer. So every hand of the wicked shall come against him is talking about the laborers. You can also go to James 5, laborer, sufferer, wretched one. That's us, laborer, workman, sufferer. So we as a people have suffered slavery. And Esau, the Edomite, he's the next to suffer great slavery, great affliction. Lamentation 1 verse 3, Judah is going into captivity because of affliction and because of great servitude. She dwelleth among the heathen, she findeth no rest. That's us, man. That's us. All her persecutors overtook her between the straits, meaning the hard times. They took us when the Most High took our power. Matthew 24 verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, which we're in the tribulation right now as we speak, but it's going to magnify. The Most High is going to turn the faucet up. And he's working through Esau, the power structure of Esau. Because now they want you to take that thing, so they're going to make your life hard. If you don't take this thing, you can't go to the restaurant. You can't go to the gym. You can't go to a theater. You can't get on a plane. You can't get on a bus. You can't get on a train. And what we're finding out is there's a lot of people that don't want to take that. A lot of people don't know why they don't want to take it, but they said there's something about that thing I'm not going to deal with. You have doctors, which they don't put out on the mainstream media. You have doctors and nurses that I didn't personally know a nurse that said I ain't taking it. I figured she done took it. She said, I ain't taking it. So how are you to work? They said they test me every week or a couple of times a week. You know, they pop her a couple of times. Inside joke. So let's read that again. Matthew 24 verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. So what is that talking about? That's talking about the time of Jacob's trouble. And there's only one time of Jacob's trouble. You're going to have tribulation in the world, but there's only one Jacob's trouble. And Jeremiah, the 30th chapter, tells you that. Let's jump down to the 29th verse. Now you can keep reading from the 21st verse to the 29th verse. I'm just going to jump to the 29th verse. Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign. Wait a minute, let me come back to 29. The 29th verse, 24, 29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days. So let's say that this is the so-called Great Tribulation. Right? Now, aren't these Christians, the body of believers, supposed to be delivered before that? Well, let's read the 30th verse. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. That's the body of believers from the four winds from one end of heaven to the other. Meaning from one end of the earth to the other, from the east to the west. It says what? It says immediately after the tribulation. Because the ending, what's going to end the tribulation is when the Lord comes back, is when the missiles hit. And that's when the elect, the true believers, will be lifted up. So if these dumbass Christians actually read the scriptures, they would have an understanding. Mark 13 verse 24. But in those days after that tribulation, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. And as you read on, it says, and they shall be gathered, the elect from the four quarters, from the four quarters of the earth. St. John 16:33. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation. Now tribulation meaning what? Hard times. You're going to get arrested. You're going to get beaten, pursuant to Acts, the 5th chapter. But be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Acts 14:22. Confirming the souls of the disciples and exhorting them to continue in the faith. What was the first scripture that we read? Matthew 13. Some of them fell off because it wasn't rooted and grounded. It said continue in the faith, and that we must do much tribulation enter into the kingdom of heaven. And tribulation is in general. Romans 2 verse 9, tribulation and anguish upon every soul of man that doeth evil, of the Jews first and also of the Gentiles. And that tribulation is going to come by way of who? The Romans. Romans 5 verse 3. And not only so, but we glory in tribulations also, tribulations with S, knowing that tribulation worketh patience. Romans 8 verse 35. Who shall separate us from the love of the Most High? Shall tribulation or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or sword? Nothing. Nothing. What does Revelation 2:10 say? Read that. Romans 12 and 12. Rejoice in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant meaning ready in prayer. 2 Corinthians 1 verse 4. Whoso comforteth us in all our tribulation, that we may be able to comfort them which are in any trouble by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of the Most High. Second Thessalonians 1 verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So all these people, the spies, all these people that came up against us, the Most High is going to destroy every last one of them publicly. Revelation 1 verse 9. I, John, who also am your brother and companion in tribulation. The fact that we're in this condition that we're in today is tribulation, because we're not in glory, we're not in the kingdom. And in the kingdom and in the kingdom and patience of Yahushua HaMashiach was in the isles that is called Patmos for the word of the Most High and for the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach. So who is he talking to? He's talking to the 7 churches of Asia Minor. Revelation 2 verse 9. I know thy works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogues of Satan. 10 verse, same chapter. Fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with this, the jab thing. We don't, because did not the current President Biden say our patience is wearing thin? What's happening over there in Australia and different parts of the world, in Israel? They're mandating it, and you know the vice is closing in, getting tighter. Like I said, you go down to New York City, Manhattan, there's signs up where you say if you ain't got the vaccination, you're not welcome. So people will learn to live with it. They'll say, no, we'll go to someplace else. We'll go uptown, we'll go downtown, we'll go to Staten Island, we'll go to upstate, wherever. And then they're going to tighten the grip even further. So that's another form of tribulation. Revelation 2:10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation, not the great tribulation, but a hard time. 10 days for a certain number of time. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So the ones of you that take that jab, you're going to take that charisma. Jumping down to the 22nd verse, Revelation 2 verse 22. Behold, I will cast her into a bed, and them that commit adultery with her into great tribulation, except they repent of their deeds. Revelation 7 verse 14. And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said to me, these are they which came out of great tribulation. In other words, the Jacob's trouble. Because our deliverance is going to come in the midst of Jacob's trouble, pursuant to Daniel the 12th chapter. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, and have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. So, like I said, and I'm going to close, the word tribulation just means hard time. The great tribulation, if you will, is the time of Jacob's trouble, which is only going to happen one time. It's going to happen in our lifetime. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say,